Um, so I liked the way that Marty had this framed. You get a unit back. You become part of a unit again. You fall back in with a lot of veterans. And on that, before I lose it, because I'll forget, is there's a phenomenon out there where the majority of civilians don't know how to help us reintegrate into society. Um, Everybody wants the T-shirt, but they don't want to do the work when, say, a veteran, for example, is acting out. Maybe maybe it's them just kind of lashing out, and on the surface they're like, God, he's being an asshole. Or maybe it's the other side of it. Maybe he's being the life of the party, and like he's buying everybody's drinks at the bar that night, and just like way over the top with their behavior. Those are both giant red flags with post-traumatic stress and other behavioral health issues with veterans. But the problem is where a lot of people say, thank you for your service and we want to be a part of it. When it comes time to actually put your money where your mouth is and be involved in that veteran's life and recognize that this behavior is probably as a result of something that he's experiencing due to a behavioral health issue, people just turn their backs and they go, okay, I can't deal with this. I'll talk to you when you feel better. And then that's when they put a gun to their head. Or worse, I mean, that's worst case scenario. Or, bad enough on its own, now they feel ostracized from another group. I've been there. I was, and you know what? I have post-traumatic stress and I'm never going to get rid of it. I've accepted that. But when I first got back from the war and years after that, oh my God, I was just doing everything I could to numb the pain, just partying my face off and, what I call single serving friends, it was a mess. But anyway, that's why I love the weekly fight. That's why I love the weekly fight so incredibly much. Other things that we're doing in the community. We're always looking for new things that we can do in the community. I personally, there's nothing formal with this at all, but there's a generous amount of homelessness in Philadelphia. And the first time I did this, I was pulling down off the off-ramp on 76 to come to my gym. And dumb luck, he ended up being a veteran too, but it's the middle of July. And this guy is standing there in long sleeves. He's got like a flannel on. He looked pretty rough. He had a tiny dog with him, and I'm an animal lover, so that was just more of my heartstrings being tugged. And I just pulled over, and I said, I'll be back in a couple minutes. I want to bring you some stuff. So I went home, and like all the clothing that I could spare, just shoved it in a bag that I could afford to get rid of, just, a backpack. Water, food for the dog, on and on and on. Came back, and I think he was surprised that I actually brought stuff back to him. But then I told him, I was like, look, my gym is right over here. Why don't you come over, get a shower, get yourself cleaned up, get out of the elements for a while. Again, it was July, so it was in the 90s, and he was sweating hard, and he did it, so I just kind of allowed that to become like an unofficial standard operating procedure for me. Is if I see someone like that could use a hand, I have showers, I'll help you in any way you can. And on top of that, I have a tremendous amount of friends that are members of this gym, and, just people I know out in town that are business owners, and they have, or they have their hand in the cookie jar, to help people get jobs. So I've helped people get jobs and stuff too. That gentleman that I'm talking about, the last I checked, he's up in Maine, where he's from. And he's the president of his VFW now, or commander of his VFW now. And he's working, and, life seems to have turned around a little bit. It's amazing. Just a little bit can go a long way, even if it's just a kind word to somebody. Someone who's down on their luck like that, they're already beating themselves up. They're not happy to wake up homeless. You get ignored a lot, and, it's got to hurt your pride. So there's that. doing work with the Girl Scouts. We don't object to having the Boy Scouts come in too. It just hasn't happened to this point.
You're
But
sexist.
it's just, we're in a really, here's one of those good things, one of those interesting things that we don't ever get to hear about, is that we're living in a time where women are becoming empowered to be strong and to be fit. Just a few years ago, when you and I were kids, it was like, okay, well, guys lift weights, and then you ladies, you do a lot of cardio and aerobics and eat rice cakes and stuff, like being as skinny as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
We're men and women were both built to be strong, and it is so awesome to be in this tipping point generation where it's becoming more and more and more popular with women to embrace being strong. I love that. So hopefully out of those, and the Girl Scouts that we had come in, we had, I think, 3 of them after the fact say, hey, could our daughter have her birthday party here? So instead of going to Chuck E. Cheese or wherever they go these days,
they want to come at the gym.
Yeah, and we had little stations, and they're working out, and they don't even realize it. But the smiles on their face, we had 7, 8, 9-year-old little girls flipping 150-pound tires, and just to watch their faces light up, like it had never occurred to them, like, hey, I can be strong too. It's amazing, and it doesn't feel like work to me. I love seeing it. My coaches love seeing it. We host blood drives here. In fact, somebody right before you and I started messaged me about, like, hey, I see you guys are having a blood drive on June, I forget the date. And yeah, I mean, there's no work for me to do. We just lend lease the space to them, and they set up, but blood is needed, so why not? Why not?
There's a national shortage on blood.
Yeah.
Just so
Yep.
if anybody's watching, go give blood.
Yes. Especially if you're O negative like me. We're the universal donor. So anybody can get our blood.
It does not shock me at all that you are O negative. So James, I think something that you and I bonded on from the very beginning is our love for fitness, because we didn't get into fitness to lose weight, to look great when we were naked, hell, to even be strong.
Right.
Those things came after the fact.
Yeah.
We were in situations where our life we were very close, if not at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And without naming a particular brand of fitness, I think when I spoke about my story and you shared yours, I think I realized at that moment how much we had in common. And obviously you weren't a fucking criminal and you didn't go out and, I am not as decorated a person or a humanitarian like yourself, but I love how we've had these life experiences coming from different worlds, and those things kind of united us. Why I think, and when I got the idea, you were the first person I reached out. I said, hey, James, I got this fucking idea. Let's run with it. And you were like, all right, brother, what do you need? You know what I mean? It was right there. You know what I mean? It's like, let's take some action. All right, let's go.
Deeds,
we
not
haven't
words.
even gotten around but even in this conversation, like, the wheels are turning. I've been able to reach out to some other really great gym owners out there. I think that we have. And you mentioned, like, having people in the community. If I could talk to every other small gym, I don't care if you do what you call CrossFit or functional fitness, or I'm not talking about the big box gyms, because that's a different setting. What we do in our facilities is just different, because we don't sell shiny equipment. We don't sell slices of pizza and energy drinks, although I may have a little something and you got yours, right? But we sell community.
Yep.
And within your community, you have a doctor, you have a lawyer, you have a veteran, you have a woman, you have a kid that's broken the law, maybe got a DUI. you have a nurse, all these different people. So if we took young people who may be discouraged but think, man, when I grow up, maybe I want to be a nurse. If you had that kid in your facility, you could say, hey, you know Betsy over there?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Betsy. She can maybe help you out with a career path.
And
That right
that's where the
there,
leadership. That's the leadership we're talking about.
like, so when I talk about actionable steps, it is we, without even having to raise money or get a dime from anyone, within our own community, we have the resources to help people in impoverished situations know that, man, people care. Because
Yeah.
when someone walks in your gym, and I've been one of those people, so I know, someone walks into your gym or in mine, they are immediately, you and I don't got to do the greeting. We could be at our desks doing whatever the hell we do. We could be over there coaching someone. The members immediately spot them and automatically start the process of welcoming them in.
Yep.
And through that experience, those people become entrenched in the community. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can get people to just come into your facility and see all these different people that get along from all the different, you never would have told me that I would be having beers with fucking cops and a part of a veteran organization. Like, you never could have told me that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a 3-time convicted felon in America, and I have some of my best friends. I can go out and have a beer right now, serve either in the military, on the police force, firefighters. I know some doctors and lawyers and nurses, politicians. I've become network or in a network of all these different people that don't give a shit because I'm black. They don't give a shit because I committed crime. They don't get, none of that matters, because I walked into that community and the only thing they judged me on was the fact that I was willing to take the step to be there, and I laid it all out on the line, which is
Mm-hmm.
not the same as laying it out on the line for your country, but similar in that a camaraderie or a brotherhood is created in shared suffering.
I'll go I'll go so far as to say in some respects that doing it stateside, doing it as a civilian is a little bit tougher, a little bit scarier than doing what I did and putting a uniform and going overseas. Because when we do, I mean, it's, I mean, there's a lot of nuance there. You know, it's not like the movies, but there is a specific job that you're there to do. You know, I'm a Marine. I'm in a combat zone. This is what I'm here to do. When you're in the civilian side of things and you're just, you know, Joe Norm out there, and it comes time to, you know, change your stars, change your life, it's scary because you don't know where to start. There is no, you know, one objective. There is no one enemy. There is no, you know, nothing like that. It's scary because you, how do I start this? You know, like you know, there's a point in my life, not too long ago, like I was saying, that it, if you would have told me that I was going to own a business in Philadelphia and, you know, be having, you know, some successes, I might have questioned your sanity, because I've been in handcuffs before. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit, at you know, my worst, you know, the Springettsbury Township Police Department cordoned off my street, riot shields, Kevlars, assault rifles for me, because someone was concerned about what I was going to, if that I was going to harm myself. Now, I can tell you in all honesty, I remember that night like it was yesterday. I wasn't going to, but my actions were telling a story. And when they called 911, you know, they gathering the data, and then it came up, oh, it's James Taulbee. He's a Marine. Is he going to be on his roof with a rifle or something? And truth be told, I was getting ready to go to a friend's house, and I was going to stop at Rutter's first, and, you know, I was a dipper at the time. I was going to go get a can of dip, and I ran right into their cordon, like they were getting ready to do actions on objective to my house. And so I like ran into them and I caught them off. And so they're just like, you know, let us see your hands. And I'm like, okay. And that night I got taken to the hospital in handcuffs to the behavioral health unit. And I was so angry at first. Oh, I was so mad. I was like, this is bullshit. I didn't do anything wrong. And then I sat in there for 3 days with legitimately mentally disturbed people and stuff like that. And it ended up being one of the best things that ever happened in my life, because it was like the emergency brake. It forced me to, James, stop in your tracks right now. You need to reevaluate some shit, because even if you don't end up deliberately harming yourself, you're going to end up in an early grave. Bar fights were like a sport to me. I wouldn't even do it out of anger. I would just pick a fight. Drinking and driving, I'm fine. I'll just pay more attention than I would driving sober. These are, the things that I was doing. I was going to end up, killing myself, or worse, killing somebody due to my negligence. And that incident made me stop. And it's like, not like I've had, angel wings on my back since that day, but it did begin what I've, tried to make my ascent back into redemption. Yeah, I mean, and this kind of brings us full circle to something that we were, saying at the beginning of this, is like, it's scary to look inward at yourself sometimes. It's easier to bury your head in the sand and not face reality about things, or full reality about things. It's only when we get brave enough to humble ourselves and take a good hard look at our individual faults and flaws and where we need to improve that we're ever going to make progress with ourselves, with our communities, with our country. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Well said, man. This is why you are one of my favorite humans in the world, man. I think,
Well, likewise, brother.
like I said, we joke all the time. Are you in my fucking head? Because we literally would be like right on top of whatever the other one was thinking. And it's really interesting. Love what you do down there in the community and in your gym, James. And I hate to bring up CrossFit. I
No,
love
fire
the
away, man.
methodology of CrossFit.
Me too.
Um, I think most people do, whether they know it or not. And there's this whole thing within the CrossFit community. I don't really want to. But one thing I've saw all those gyms that de-affiliated are now talking about, oh, there's no diversity, and and then you pull up pictures of their gyms on the internet, and you say, well, right there in your own community, all your coaches are white, 99% of your members are white. But then I look at your coaching staff and your members, and so correct me if I'm wrong here. On your coaching staff are veterans, women, Black people, and Jewish. So you kind of have a little bit of everybody on your staff alone. And how does
You missed
that
my Latina.
and Latina? Oh, there you go. Shout out to Latinas out there. I love you. I love everyone. I promise y'all. So really diverse staff. But then when you think about the diversity of your staff, because I think it starts there. Because when I walk into your gym, there's a coach that looks like me. There's a person in a leadership role that looks like me. People will follow that. And in your community, I can't say that I don't know what the numbers are in there. I feel like it's pretty fucking even if you have everybody in there.
Yeah. Yep. Because of the nature of what I do for my full-time gig, being active duty military, I've had a luxury that the majority of coaches have not had and will not have, is that I've coached all over the country and at all over the place at different gyms. And I'll tell you firsthand, except my gym, it was just wall to wall white people. There would maybe be, one black guy, one black girl in the whole place. That's it. And then you have, us here, and like you said, 2 members of my staff, my staff alone. And then when you get into my clients, it's not even like it's close. Like it is
it's
a
not.
big melting pot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's actually a microcosm of like actual America. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to put this, but I laugh at the sincerity when everyone wanted to de-affiliate and saying that the reason they did so was for these comments or whatever, and they made it about that. But
Yeah.
how many of them are actually taking steps to actually mirror anything similar to what you have going on there? Because I know
Well, once again,
you're what you guys got going on. If there were more of that, I mean, you could change a lot of lives in gyms alone if more gyms were like yours.
yeah, I, I'm doing my best, man.
No, man, you're
It's
doing
a,
a great job.
it's to me, and again, maybe this sounds simplistic. You know, I know I have a habit of like saying things like, well, all you got to do is this, but it's really about exposure. You know, it's, you know, once upon a time, you know, the sport of basketball was a primarily white dominated sport, just was what it was. And now look at the NBA today. You know, the sport of football was the same exact thing, and now it, you know, it's a melting pot. You know what I mean? And the list goes on and on and on. Like, I don't think I think there's just, you know, that certain demographics, there hasn't been a tremendous amount of exposure to, you know, certain communities, and it's as simple as getting out there and going, hey, come do this. What's that? It's weird. I know it is weird, but it's also a lot of fun. Well, I've never heard of that before. That's okay. Try things that you've never heard of, that you're not used to. Oh, you play football? Well, guess what? If you get better at what we do in here, scholarship might be waiting for you when it comes down the line. If nothing else, you meet a bunch of really, really cool people. So it's not hard. It's not like there's a resistance to come in, you know, into this community. It's just you got to put the legwork in there. You got to reach out, you know, to coaches and clergy, and, you know, get creative how you know, reach people. You know, don't please. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but don't solely rely on emails and social media, because it's disingenuous. It's not real. It's not a real conversation like what we're having here.
1,000%.
Yeah.
All right. So, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, the epitome of deeds, not words. My brother from another mother. And I mean that sincerely, James Taulbee.
Yes, sir.
Love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
Give Hannah my best.
Will do.
Later.